Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk coming at you on a Friday. After an unintended day's hiatus, we are back with you for the next 3 hours following another Royals victory. That's 4 in a row for the boys in blue, who are 17-10 on the year. Spencer Dupuis, do you know when the Royals won their 17th game of 2023?
Probably in late May.
Memorial Day.
That's pretty good. Late May.
That is late May. That is the last
I
Monday
did not
of May.
know. For those of you thinking I knew, I did not know.
Memorial Day last year was when the Royals won their 17th game. They are 17-10 after an 8-0 victory in Detroit this afternoon. I'm Dan Lucero. That is, as I mentioned, Spencer Dupuis. It is the two-man game this afternoon with Brendan Wierzinski on vacation. He will be back on Monday. We've got you into the weekend for the next 3 hours, and we have a lot to get to. So welcome into the program. Thank you for being with us on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and a special hello to those of you watching on the YouTube stream this afternoon on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. We're at 485 YouTube subscribers. If we get to 500 while Brendan is gone, that would be hilarious. So if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, today would be a great day to do it. It's a really good bit. We are committed to the bit. We are asking you to commit to the bit with us and subscribe to the YouTube channel today, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. You can also see us on Twitter, 580 Sports Talk, and on our Facebook page, WIBW News. However you are consuming the program, we appreciate you doing so. We appreciate it so much that we're going to give you a Choose Your Trip 2024 keyword. Our Alpha Media Choose Your Trip 2024 contest is on its last day. No more keywords after today, Spencer. These are the last of the keywords.
Oh, man.
I'm excited. I get to read them today. I was really looking forward to reading them yesterday, and I didn't get to. But I'm looking forward to reading them today. Go to 580WIBW.com. Click on the Choose Your Trip 2024 link and enter this keyword. This keyword is only good for the 3 o'clock hour. We'll have one for the 4 o'clock and one for the 5 o'clock hour. But go to 580WIBW.com and register to win a trip anywhere you want to go, courtesy your friends at Alpha Media. This hour's keyword is thanks. 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 As in, thanks for listening to 580 Sports Talk.
Thanks for putting in these words, as we only have this. There's 2 more after this.
Thanks for playing. Yeah. Thanks for trying to win. And we hope you win. We hope one of you is the winner. That is the keyword this hour here.
If somebody wins that listens to our show and they go wherever they go, they got to bring us back a souvenir, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I think the least you could do is like buy one of those like magnets or a postcard or something. We'll display it. We'll display it somewhere in the studio if y'all do that. Lots to get to, and only 3 of our usual 4 hours to get to it. Why were the Royals playing early today? There's something else going on in the city of Detroit that required a clear downtown for tonight. That, of course, would be day 2 of the NFL draft. Day 1 is in the books, and the Chiefs have their newest wide receiver. He is Xavier Worthy, the fastest man in NFL scouting combine history, is a Kansas City Chief. We reacted to it live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook last night. Spencer and I did. We posted our reaction video. Appreciate those of you who tuned into that. That was pretty late, close to 11 o'clock Central Time. So those of you who stayed up, hung out, watched us, we really appreciate you doing so. The video is archived, of course, on our YouTube channel if you want to go watch it if you did miss it. We've had a chance to think over our reactions to the Xavier Worthy pick and the trade that led to it. We are going to talk all about it on today's program. We will also get Matt Derrick's reaction to the Chiefs' first-round pick. Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com, will join us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. We will talk about the rest of the first round, where 6 quarterbacks went in the top 12, and 2 of them were picks that should have their general managers without jobs.
Yes.
I will expand upon that a little bit later on in the show. We will react to all of it. Day 1 of the NFL draft, the most offense-heavy first round in the history of the common draft era. And we'll discuss that, our favorite fits, our favorite picks, our least favorite picks. I may have tipped my hand as to what those are. We'll get there later on in the show. Plus, we'll look ahead to round 2. The Chiefs tonight, because of that trade with the Buffalo Bills, they moved out of the 3rd round, basically traded back into the 4th round, got a 4th rounder for a 3rd rounder. So they do not pick in the 3rd round at 95 overall. So they are scheduled to make just one pick tonight at number 64. Most of the mock drafts have the Chiefs going in one very specific and obvious direction. Spencer has done a 7-round mock or a 2 through 7 round mock for the Chiefs moving forward. And so we'll look ahead to that. We'll, of course, ask you, the listener, who you think the Chiefs ought to take with the 64th overall pick tonight, or if they should sit at number 64
Dan,
overall.
I have a quick update here. We've now gained 2 more subscribers.
Let's go. 487. That's great. Let's keep it going. 13 more to get to 500. YouTube.com, 580 Sports Talk. If you've got a YouTube account, just hit the subscribe button, and you'll see all of our videos when you open your YouTube app or you go to YouTube on your computer. Go subscribe today, youtube.com/@580 Sports Talk. So lots of draft to get to. We will talk some Royals baseball. They've won 4 in a row after their win today and their rain-shortened win yesterday. That was a waste of everyone's time, including ours, Spencer. Let's be real honest. It was a waste of our time. We were just sitting uselessly in the station's bullpen waiting. Are we going to do a show? Are we not going to do a show? And then after a 3-hour rain delay, they banged the game after 5 innings. Total nonsense, but hey, the Royals were on the good side of it with the 2-1 win yesterday. 3 straight 1-run wins going into today. It looked like it might be a 4th straight 1-run victory until the Royals erupted against baseball's best bullpen, at least by ERA coming into today. That was the case for the Tigers, and the Royals put up a 7th spot in the 9th inning to win 8-0. We'll get to some Royals. We'll get to some 580 Sports Talk headlines at the 5 o'clock hour. Big day in the transfer portal. Kansas got better. K-State got better. We will tell you all about that. We'll do the playoff roundup. We've got What Is Wrong With You coming up. It's a jam-packed show. You, of course, are invited and encouraged to be part of the show on the Top City Metal Supply text line at 785-272-9429 and in the YouTube live chat. You can also comment if you're watching it on Facebook or on Twitter. The YouTubers will not see those comments, but we will. And any way that you'd like to get involved, have your voice heard. We want to know what you think today, particularly if you are a Chiefs fan, of the Xavier Worthy pick. He is the newest Kansas City Chiefs. Your thoughts? Are you excited? Are you disappointed? How do you feel about the selection of Xavier Worthy in round 1? We want to hear from you. Again, the Top City Metal Supply text line is 785-272-9429. And you can hit us on the YouTube live chat as well. So it is Xavier Worthy, number 28 overall, selected by the Chiefs. The full accounting of the trade, in case you missed it or have forgotten, the Chiefs moved up 4 picks in the first round from 32 to 28 and also sent the Bills the 95th overall pick, a 3rd-round pick, and the 221st overall pick. That's the first pick of the 7th round. In exchange, the Chiefs get back the 133rd overall pick. That is a 4th-round selection, and the 248th pick. That is a late 7th-round selection. So the Chiefs don't lose any picks. This doesn't cost them any picks. They moved back close to 40 spots in the middle rounds, and they moved back 27 spots in the 7th round to move up 4 spots in the first round and get Xavier Worthy. And we'll get the negatives out of the way first here with Worthy, because both you and I, Spencer, have, I mean, the draft hype it's a long stretch of time. And when you have so much time between when the draft talk really gets percolating to the actual draft, you can really drill down and nitpick everything about every prospect.
Yeah.
You can even nitpick a guy who's like the slam dunk number 1 pick and say, I don't know. There were people saying that Malik Neighbors was the best wide receiver in this draft instead of Marvin Harrison Jr. That's how long you have. You can talk yourself into and out of some really crazy things. So we'll get the negatives out of the way first with Xavier Worthy, because you and I both, Spencer, were critical a bit of Worthy as a prospect. I think we are in agreement that we liked A.D. Mitchell better of the Texas wide receivers going into this draft? Is that an accurate assessment of how you viewed it?
Yes. When it came to who was available at which point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, I mocked this correctly.
You did.
But I also
have plenty of time to crow about that and the shockingly many other picks that you mocked correctly. We're going to start calling you Spencer Kiper Jr.
Hey, didn't I win between us on March Madness as well?
Yes.
When
you did.
Points wise?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's enough of that. All right.
But what I was saying was, I think, yes, depending on where they were and when they traded up, I was like, oh, they're going to go get A.D. Mitchell. They're going to go get A.D. Mitchell.
That was my thought, too. And then it ended up being Xavier Worthy. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes was pretty pleased. As soon as he heard the news, he tweeted the sunglasses emoji, the smiling sunglass guy, the cool emoji, I guess, for lack of a better way to refer to it. So we know he's happy with the pick. But we'll start with the negatives, right? Because there's a reason we liked A.D. Mitchell better as a prospect and rated him more highly than Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy is not coming into the league as the most polished route runner. A lot of the pre-draft evaluation was that he's got a very high ceiling as a route runner, but he's not there yet. He's a work in progress. That's not to say all he can do is run in a straight line, mind you, but that he is not as polished a route runner as some other wide receiver prospects. He did have some issues with dropped passes in 2022. That obviously is not what Chiefs fans want to hear, is that, oh gosh, we brought in a fast guy who drops the ball. And the other criticism of Worthy is that he is light in the seat at 165 pounds. He is not real big. So at 5'11", 165, he's not a guy who fits the description physically of what I personally was looking for the Chiefs to take. I wanted them to get somebody a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical at the point of the catch, somebody who could go make a contested catch. That's why I liked A.D. Mitchell better. That's why I like Troy Franklin. That's why I like Keon Coleman as better fits for, I thought, what the Chiefs needed at wide receiver. So those are the negatives. Like, there is a chance that Xavier Worthy, his floor as a prospect is that he is just fast guy. And fast guy is great in some aspects, and fast guy can score you some touchdowns in the NFL. But if he is truly just a one-dimensional player and never develops beyond that, that would be a disappointing outcome for a first-round pick. That being said, let's look at the positives, which the number one positive is very obvious. He's fast guy. And he's not just fast guy, right? He's extremely fast guy. He's top of the scale speed fast guy. He's combine record breaking fast guy. And in an offense that has lacked the ability to push the ball deep down the field in the last two seasons, ever since Tyreek Hill was traded, he brings, along with the one-year contract that Hollywood Brown will play on in 2024, the deep passing game back to the Chiefs on day one. We have seen it over the last 2 years. Defenses have not respected the deep passing threat of the Kansas City Chiefs in the same way that they did in Patrick Mahomes' first 4 seasons as a starter. They simply haven't. They've played more two safety looks and brought them down into the box and said, we're not really worried about the Chiefs hitting the home run ball. We're not really worried about Marquez Valdez-Scantling taking the top off of our defense the way we were worried about Tyreek Hill doing it, or even when he was healthy, Sammy Watkins doing it.
Yeah.
We're not concerned about the deep ball against the Chiefs. Now you better be, because Hollywood Brown has great straight line speed, and Xavier Worthy maybe has the best straight line speed of any wide receiver in the league, not named Tyreek Hill, on day one. That is a big deal. That makes the Chiefs offense more multidimensional, and giving a quarterback a guy he can't overthrow is a pretty useful piece.
I think, too, a lot plays into this. I was listening to Brett Veach's press conference from last night. Fortunately, we're not going to have time to play it today. Basically, he wanted to lock somebody in long term, and this is how they do it. They draft a receiver in the first round. They have the ability for the fifth-year option when things are down the road for 5 years of a receiver that could turn into somebody big for them, because obviously they lost Tyreek Hill, but all the comparisons were to Tyreek Hill. In talking, Veach said it last night. He said, we haven't had a guy since Tyreek left us that can do what Tyreek did, and this guy can do what Tyreek did.
And not only can he do it with, again, remarkable speed, 4.2 40 speed, which plays in games. We talked about this coming into the draft, is that there are some guys who are just fast and it doesn't really show in games. They have trouble making it playable speed because it's not useful speed. It's just that track speed. Xavier Worthy is more than just straight line fast. He's explosive. His get off is good at the line of scrimmage. Again, I don't think he's as polished a route runner as an A.D. Mitchell or a Troy Franklin, but he is not just a 9-route guy, strictly a 9-route guy right away. And I think it helps him, too, that he is not being brought in to be wide receiver number 1 on day one. I think that helps a player like Worthy, who still has some room to grow as a receiver, that he doesn't have to be wide receiver 1, that he doesn't have to come in and be a go-to guy right away, because the go-to guy for as many games as he is eligible to play in 2024, which is very much up in the air still, is Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
And then you have a veteran like Hollywood Brown to be wide receiver 2. So with Xavier Worthy, with A.D. Mitchell, I thought, again, you could have played him outside in the slot, the versatility, the more advanced route running, I thought the better hands. Again, like, sometimes you get disappointed in the draft where they don't take the guy that you wanted, like personally. You develop a draft crush and they don't take your crush, and you take it a little bit personally and say, well, that was dumb. Shouldn't have done that. They should have listened to me. But I'll be the first to admit that I would not be surprised if I ended up wrong on this. I have been wrong before, loudly. If you've listened to this show, that's not news to any of you that I have been loudly wrong before. We do a whole segment devoted to how wrong we are. We're going to do one in just a little bit, in fact. But the way this works for the Chiefs, the way this pick is a success, is that you don't need to lean on Xavier Worthy right away. He can develop in year 1. He can step into Hollywood Brown's shoes in year 2 and beyond. He can be the deep threat that the Chiefs have been missing. He can add some punch to the return game in a major way. I think he's the punt returner on day one. The Chiefs have been really iffy at that spot the last couple of years. Now you bring in a guy like Worthy, who was arguably the best punt returner in the country in 2023, and now that's not a concern. Worthy's your guy right away. I think there are substantial pluses here with this pick, too. I have seen reading draft grades, which draft grades are stupid, right? Like, we can all agree that, like, Patrick Mahomes got a C- from one very prominent draft grader the night he got picked, and obviously that's hilarious now. So draft grades aren't worthwhile. They're not the be-all, end-all by any measure. But when I saw people giving the Chiefs draft pick of Xavier Worthy a B, I thought that felt about right to me. It doesn't feel like an A pick. I would have given A.D. Mitchell an A. This feels like a B grade for me. But there's upside here because, again, this is fast wide receiver paired with Patrick Mahomes. And that's a pretty good combination. And that is, I think, pun absolutely intended, a worthy gamble for the Kansas City Chiefs to say, we'll make him a better player, a more polished wide receiver. The raw skills are going to be good enough to be impactful in a wide receiver 3 role on day one. And the raw skills will help our offense gain a dimension that it had lost the last couple of years. Some reaction from the YouTube comments. Sam says Chiefs aren't worse, but he doesn't think they got any better with the selection of Xavier Worthy last night. See, again, I really think that he just adding the element, bringing back the deep ball, bringing back the ability to take the top off a defense, just that threat being there, I think makes the Chiefs offense a little better just even on paper. I mean, we'll see how it translates, but I think the idea of we can line up Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown and run some 9 routes and run by some guys, and now you got to move your safeties back, and now Travis Kelce can work, and now, Rashee Rice can work the middle of the field. Now Isaiah Pacheco can take the ball on some RPOs and have a little more running room. Like, I think it helps. I think that this is an element the Chiefs were really missing. I think it's pretty obvious that Brett Veach felt that way too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think Veach he's heard Patrick Mahomes, basically. They've been able to renegotiate his contract to free up money. And yeah, they got Hollywood Brown, but he's now said it 2 times in a week. He knows Hollywood Brown is just 1 year because he wants him to have a great year and then them not to be able to re-sign him, especially, he said, especially after the extension that St. Brown got in Detroit.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it's always valuable to have cost controllable blue chip talent. And blue chip talent usually has a high-end skill set, and the high-end skill for Worthy is obvious. It's the high-end speed tool in the entire draft. From the text line, from the 785 on the Top City Metal Supply text line, seems like a good trade to me. If Worthy works out over time, it's a good addition, cheap, and it will open up the middle of defenses against the Chiefs. Flip side of that, from 785, not a very Worthy first-round pick, according to this fan. So mixed reaction, which I kind of expected would be the case. Here's my theory on what happened regarding the trade, because there was a lot of consternation about...
I really like your theory more than I've slept on it.
Okay. There's a lot of consternation from the Bills side of this equation last night. That why in the world would you trade with the Chiefs? Why would you give the Chiefs, of all teams, their chief impediment, pun intended there too, to the Bills having won anything of consequence the last half decade? Why would the Bills help the Chiefs by letting them move up to get an offensive weapon like Xavier Worthy? Especially when the Bills absolutely have to get a wide receiver. Why would they do it? Why would they do it? Here is my theory. I put this forward on the YouTube stream, the live YouTube stream last time. I'm going to put it forth again here for all of you. I think Bills general manager Brandon Beane got deeped. I think Brett Veach played the okie doke on Brandon Beane. Remember yesterday, we didn't get to talk about this because we didn't have a show yesterday, but there were some rumors leaking out that the Chiefs were among many teams who were interested in trading up for an offensive tackle. There were a lot of teams who were supposedly interested in moving up to get an offensive tackle. Now, it turned out, I don't think anybody really had to do that. In fact, Dallas traded back and still got their guy in Tyler Guyton because the first half of the draft was so offense heavy and so skill position heavy that the linemen were there for the team that wanted linemen. But there was that rumor, persistent rumor, that the Chiefs might look to trade up to get a left tackle. And left tackle makes a lot of sense for the Chiefs, right? Still, like, as a need, it's very likely they take one at number 64. I think that when Brett Veach called Brandon Beane and said, hey, I want to trade up. I want your pick. Let's make something happen. I think Beane's thought was, this must be for a tackle. Great. We're not in the market for an offensive tackle. We need a wide receiver. We're still going to have a shot at our guy because picks 29, 30, and 31 are not likely to be wide receivers, though pick 31 did end up being a wide receiver. The 49ers took Pearsall out of Florida. But I think Brandon Beane was thinking, the 3 picks after us are not going to be wide receivers. The Chiefs move up. They get their tackle. We are going to have our pick of the litter at wide receiver behind the 4 guys who had already been drafted. And we'll move up. We get a 3rd-round pick for a 4th-round pick. We move up in the 7th. This is a great bit of business for the Buffalo Bills. Why wouldn't we do this? Never mind helping out the Chiefs. They can have their left tackle. That's fine. We're going to hang back and get the wide receiver we need. And then the Chiefs took Xavier Worthy. And then what did the Bills do again before the night was out? Can you remind me, Spencer?
They traded out of the first round.
They traded back again because I think they knew that they had gotten okie doked. I really do. I think they got deked. I don't necessarily think that means that Worthy was their guy, because if Worthy had been their guy, they would have taken him to 28. But I think they were more than happy to let the wide receiver market come to them by trading back, and then the Chiefs sniped Worthy. And then the Bills trade back again. They trade back one spot. Carolina jumped up to get Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills traded out of 33 and continue to try and accumulate some picks. I also wouldn't be surprised if they stay put and draft A.D. Mitchell like we all thought they would all along. But I do. I don't think Brandon Beane intended to let the Chiefs get Xavier Worthy. I think he thought he was moving back and they were going to get an O-lineman. I really do. I think he got deked. That's just my theory. So that's what happened from the Chiefs' perspective on night one, round one of the NFL draft. We've got lots more draft stuff to come. Matt Derrick, ChiefsDigest.com, is going to join us a little bit later on this hour. But when we come back, it's on second thought. We've got a lot of takes we've got to have mea culpas for after round one of the draft. And that's coming up next here on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. On second thought, where we put our hand up and say, hey, that was a bad pick. That was a bad prognostication. That was a bad take. Spencer, what was your bad take of the week?
That after J.J. McCarthy, no other quarterbacks were getting picked till the second round. I did that on multiple mocks. I was like, they're just going to be content. There's going to be a run on offensive tackles and wide receivers in the middle of the rounds, in the first round. And the Broncos decided that Bo Nix was their guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the craziest pick of the night was the Falcons pick their future quarterback that'll be like 28 by the time he gets a chance to start.
You know those memes that say like galaxy brain? Somebody does something and it's a galaxy brain thing to do. That's the most galaxy brain draft pick in the history of the draft. Like, truly incomprehensible. I'll have a lot more to say about that one in the 4 o'clock hour. on second thought for me, I thought there would be a little bit more of a defensive presence in the first round of this draft. Instead, the first 14 picks were all offensive players. I, like you, Spencer, did not see a scenario where it would be 6 quarterbacks off the board in the first round. I had talked myself out of that. I did not think Penix was going to go in the first round unless a team moved into like the bottom 5 picks to go get him. I kind of felt the same way about Bo Nix. I thought, no way. Like I have been saying for a while, I thought Bo Nix was going to go to the Broncos, but I thought they'd trade back or they'd get him early day 2. Like, you don't take Bo Nix 12th overall in the NFL draft. Well, the Peyton boys, Sean and George, spelled differently, not related, but they never cease to amaze me as the Broncos brain trust. It's been just 2 years, but boy, they've been the gift that keeps on giving to fans of other teams in the AFC West. Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com going to join us next here on 580 Sports Talk. We are pleased to be joined, as we are every Friday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline, by our good friend Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He is our Chiefs insider. You can find his work at ChiefsDigest.com, and you can check him out on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Matt, Xavier Worthy is a Kansas City Chief. Did you think that this was going to be the move as soon as you saw the news of the trade? Did that cement to you that it was going to be a wide receiver?
It hadn't cemented it with me. I was still a little torn about which direction that they were going to go. I agree with Brett Veach. I mean, I think that would not have been necessarily the right move to move up for a tackle of who was left. So looking at the wide receivers, it absolutely makes sense. I'd be honest, Dan. I mean, I was just a little bit thrown off by the Buffalo Bills answering the phone and agreeing to make the trade. I was trying to wrap my head around that before I could even begin to think about who the Chiefs would be.
I have my theory, Matt, that I just shared, that I think Brandon Beane got duped by the reports that the Chiefs were interested in a left tackle. And I think Beane thought they were going to move up for a left tackle and he'd have his pick of the litter at wide receiver at 32. That's why they ended up moving back to 33. I really think Beane expected Veach to take a left tackle. I think Veach okey-doked him.
It's possible, but I mean, I kind of felt like the Bills might have been looking there anyway. And I think that, it was unclear just, hey, if the 49ers were going to take a receiver, I thought that they would. And I think that's absolutely why the Chiefs jumped up there. I mean, when they took Pearson, it kind of seemed like, okay, that might be the Xavier Worthy consolation prize for the 49ers. That's the guy that they get. And certainly I think that Brett Veach felt like Worthy was going to do one of those picks from 29, 30, and 31. So made a move that he needed to, certainly. If Brandon Bean were interested in a receiver, then he definitely made the wrong move, because now there's 3 more gone. But I'm expecting tonight they're going to take a defensive player, and I'm guessing it's going to be a defensive lineman. And if that's the case, then it worked out pretty well for them. They were able to move back a couple of times and improve some draft picks. And let's face it, I mean, the Bills, with the offseason that they have had, they need bodies, and they need productive bodies. So anything that they can do to get more picks and upgrade the ones that they have, is this draft is absolutely critical for them.
All right, let's talk about the newest Kansas City Chief, Xavier Worthy. We know he is Patrick Mahomes approved. That's obviously the most important thing about any addition to the offense, and particularly the wide receiver room. What do you think is the biggest thing that Worthy brings to the Chiefs from day one as a rookie?
I think, I mean, just setting aside the speed, which is the thing that comes out to everybody, I think it's experience, oddly enough. I mean, yes, he was the 3rd youngest receiver in this draft, but at the same time, he's played a lot of football. He came out and played immediately a freshman at Texas, had 3 very productive seasons. There's not a whole lot of receivers in this draft that can say that. I mean, there's some receivers that can only say they had 1 productive season. Xavier Leggett, right behind him, is a good example of that. So I think that's a big deal. He's got a lot of experience, and as a result, I think he's much more polished than a lot of people get credit for, and that you usually see in this position. So played a lot of snaps, gotten a lot of opportunities. He's a better route runner, clearly, than I think people give him credit for. Speed overlooks everything else, but this is a guy who seems really a complete player. I mean, now the question is the size. Is that going to be a problem for him? Because he is slight of build. But I hopefully at a first-hand look, he just arrived at the team facility, and he's going through a tour right now, and he's planning on stopping by the media workroom before he's done. So hopefully we'll get to see him. And hey, we're still on the air, Dan. I mean, I'll introduce you.
Oh, that would be outstanding. Yeah, if you put him on the phone and have him say hello. We'll have to ask him which barbecue joint he's going to try first, because I think for a 165-pounder, I think they need to introduce him to a couple of gentlemen named Arthur Bryant and Jack Stack pretty quickly to get his weight up. What is your biggest concern about the potential fit for Xavier Worthy?
I think that's probably the biggest one, the durability. Even though he didn't have any injuries at college, it's still a jump. I mean, the NFL is not the Big 12. The players are bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. And that's why, to your point, I mean, he is going to need to bulk up. Played 165, 170 in college. I mean, he probably did streamline himself a little bit to try and get that 4.2 speed, the 4.21 he ends up running at the combine. He really wanted that record, so he might have, maybe juiced himself down a little bit weight-wise. Chiefs from Brett Veach last night feeling like, hey, 175, 180 is probably a good weight for him. And he'll be closer to where Tyreek was. Tyreek, was 3 inches smaller, but 185. Worthy weighed 155 at the combine and 169 on his pro day. So that 3-inch difference and 20-pound difference really gives you an indication of just how, kind of slender his build is. But if he's able to put on a little bit of weight, good weight, and just even some bulk, but some muscle for sure, and he doesn't have to run 4.21. I mean, Tyreek was a 4.29 guy. I mean, as long as he can put the weight on without losing a ton of speed, that's what you're hoping for. But it's always a question about whether or not that, college durability can translate to the NFL.
We're joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. And Matt, as we look ahead to night 2, round 2 and 3, in that trade, they lost the 95th pick, which would be at the very end of the 3rd round, moving back into day 3 with a couple picks. At 64, if there's a tackle available, a good tackle available, I assume they go there, or where do you think they would go?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously several options still on the table. I mean, they've got picks that if they wanted to upgrade from 64, if there's a player available they don't think is going to fall that far, they can go and get him. Remember, I mean, teams, and I think it's probably, important to kind of clarify this. We probably should have even talked more about this with the selection of, Felix and DK Obama last year. Brett Veach talks about having 16 to 18 players on their board that were first round projections. Well, when you're just moving up to 28 to get a guy like Xavier Worthy, that's not one of your first round guys. I mean, that's a second round guy to them. So in that second pocket of players, teams probably have about 30 players. Well, 30 plus 18, I mean, once you get to probably pick 50 or 55 or so, you're suddenly getting third round players that you've got grades on. So if you're the Chiefs and you truly want a player that you've got a second round grade on, you probably can't wait till 64. But, it's that fine balance of when do you move? When do you make sure not to make a reach? You don't want to get a third round tackle and pay second round price for it, and especially if it's a move up. So, I think there's a few different positions. Obviously, because of the run on offense last night, there's a lot of really good corners still out there. There could be some good corners extending into maybe late in the second round because of it. We'll see what kind of run there is tonight. But there's several different positions that I think that the Chiefs will go for and wouldn't necessarily even have to move if they didn't want to.
Matt Derrick is our guest on the Flaming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Check him out at ChiefsDigest.com. He's our Chiefs insider, joining us every Friday at this time on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, if the Chiefs were to move up today in the draft, move up from 64, if you had to guess, would that be for a corner or would that be for a left tackle? What would be the most likely outcome of a trade up?
Yeah, that's a really good question because, reading between the lines, apparently Amarius Mims was the line. So after that was no longer where they felt like there was value of spending first round pick. Now there's a lot of are any of those guys going to still be available in the fourth round? Maybe some projects, maybe some underrated players. I'm really curious to where a guy like, Kieran Amagaji from Yale, where he might end up going. I could see it anywhere from second to the fourth. But you look, he's had a pretty good day. Would he last to the fourth round? I doubt it. So, if that kind of player can you wait till the fourth for something like that? And then it brings up the question, what do the Chiefs really want? And all along, right? Big thing, Andy Reid as well, they want competition at that spot. Well, signing Donovan Smith and having Wanya Morris around would be competition spot. So,
having some trouble connecting with Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He's joining us. I think he might be at the team facility, and we're having some trouble hearing him. Matt, are you still with us?
Yeah, let me walk out of the dungeon and maybe go outside and see if I can get a better signal.
Okay, yeah, we'll give you an opportunity to do that. Again, Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com is our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk, and he joins us every Friday at this time on the program. You can check out his work at ChiefsDigest.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. We'll give him a chance to maybe get a clearer view of the southern sky or whatever it takes to improve the cell phone signal there. Matt, at number 64, let's say whatever pick it is that the Chiefs end up making, if they trade up, they trade back. Do you have a favorite player? Do you have a second day draft crush that you'd love to see fall to the Chiefs?
Yeah, the name that is kind of floating around a little bit that I like, and it really intrigues me, and I know it's going to probably infuriate a lot of Chiefs fans. It's Jonathan Brooks. It's Xavier Worthy's teammate at Texas. A lot of questions for him because of the injury and, didn't run at the pro day or the combine to go through the workouts. So there's a question mark. And all indications are he should be able to play this year. And he is a really good player. He would fit into this Chiefs offense magnificently. And when, you really see what the Chiefs are trying to do. They're trying to get back to 2018. They want to have the explosiveness that they had once upon a time. And when they were doing that, because they had Kareem Hunt in the backfield. Finding another Kareem Hunt is going to be difficult, but can you get close to maybe trying to replicate a Kareem Hunt with a 1-2 punch with Pacheco and a guy like Brooks? Maybe. there's some other running backs too. Will Shipley, I really like. There's some others that, maybe later in the draft you could pair up with Pacheco that maybe could give you that punch. But Brooks is going to be an interesting one to see where he goes, because I think he'd be a really good fit for the Chiefs. I think they would be willing to move up to get him. And obviously, I think they take him at 64. It's just a matter of whether or not he would be there.
Outside of the Chiefs, looking at the other AFC West teams, Chargers get Joe Alt at 5. The Broncos take Bo Nix at 12. The Raiders get Brock Bowers at 13. How do you think the rest of the division fared last night?
The Raiders, in a vacuum, did fine, because Brock Bowers is a great player, and he should be a productive NFL player. I think he's going to be a great tight end. Are the Raiders ready for him? I don't know. Now they've got 2 tight ends that took Michael Mayer last year, so I just guess they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel for Aiden O'Connell. They don't really have the quarterback situation figured out either. So that just seems like it, and especially I'll bring the Broncos into starting this conversation too. Bowers is a fine player, but they need a lot of help everywhere. And they could have had the best defensive player on their board at that spot, since nobody had taken a defensive player yet. Bowers is an okay pick. I'm just questioning why they went that way, maybe instead of going defense. Denver, this is all on Sean Payton. If he thinks that Bo Nix is really all that in a bag of chips and he can make it work, then, just start clearing off space on Mount Rushmore for Sean Payton. I don't think it will. That seems just like a tremendous reach on Bo Nix. Just talk about trying to take a square peg into a round hole. And then couple with the comments about as much confidence in Bo Nix as he had in Patrick Mahomes coming out. I said this earlier. Maybe it's not appropriate for radio or not, but I know I heard it on Judge Judy. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. That's just, I don't know how that's going to work. Chargers, Joe Alt's a great pick, great player. I don't know why you're taking him at 5 and playing him out of position at right tackle. And maybe the realistic thing is that Rashawn Slater's never going to be healthy, and Joe Alt's going to be playing left tackle anyway. But hey, if those 2 guys are healthy, then Harbaugh has got his road graders to really run that offense on the outside. That they can run the football, they can throw the football, they'll be fine. I just feel bad for Joe Alt, because I think he can be a great player, and being stuck playing right tackle for maybe a while in his career, I just think it's kind of a disservice to the guy.
Last question for Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. Matt, give me one prediction for Xavier Worthy's rookie season. One prediction for Xavier Worthy's rookie year with the Chiefs.
I will say that he returns a kick of some sort for a touchdown.
Ooh.
He has not had one of those in a while. I think he can get it done, and he's going to get a chance to do it.
That is a tasty proposition. Obviously, the return games opened up with the new rules, and he could be a real weapon in that return game and in the passing game. Xavier Worthy, the newest Kansas City Chief. To break it all down with us, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com, our Chiefs insider. Matt, it is always a pleasure. Thanks so much for taking the time. We'll talk to you next week when the dust has settled on all of this and get your thoughts on the rest of the Chiefs draft class.
There you go. We'll get ready for the rookie minicamp next weekend. So
That's right.
We'll be having a blast.
Yes, we will. Thanks for your time, Matt.
Thanks, Dan. Take care, my friends.
That is Matt Derrick. Always love to get his insight on all things Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, you can find him on Twitter at Matt Derrick and read his stuff at ChiefsDigest.com. That's going to do it for the 3 o'clock hour of the show. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, the rest of the first round outside of the Chiefs. How did everybody else come out last night in case you missed it or didn't watch it or have forgotten? We'll reset day 1 of the NFL draft. Our favorite picks, our best draft grades, our biggest criticisms from the first 32 picks. We'll also do some looking ahead to tonight's rounds 2 and 3. Who do some of the experts have the Chiefs taking at 64 overall? Who does Spencer, who I guess is our resident expert because he kicked our butts in the mock draft, have going in the second round to the Chiefs? Plus, we'll crown a weekly winner in What Is Wrong With You. Hang with us. This is 580 Sports Talk on a Friday on 580 WIBW. Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk coming at you on a Friday. It's hour number 2 of this shortened edition of the program. We have been with you since 3 o'clock following Royals baseball. It was nice and tidy of the Royals to finish in 2 hours and 30 minutes, 20-minute postgame. We were on the air right at 3:06. We just missed an hour of the show today. It was very considerate of the boys in blue to do their work in precisely 2 hours and 30 minutes, particularly given the fact that they cost us a show yesterday that we had sketched out. It was going to be the best show, the best draft preview in the history of 580 Sports Talk. We had so much great stuff yesterday, and then the Royals, and really it's not the Royals' fault. It was crew chief Chris Guccione's fault for delaying.
He really thought they could get it. They could get it in.
Yeah, like second base and shortstop were a lagoon, and yet Chris Guccione was like, "Yeah, we can play. This is fine." For 3 hours.
And there were like rumors that starting at like 5 o'clock that they were going to play at 5:45 or 6.
Yeah, man. The French-speaking reporter for the Blue Jays radio network said they were going to play at 5:45, and that obviously didn't happen. So we didn't do a show yesterday, but we are back with you today, and we appreciate you being with us on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. Joining us on video in our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Go subscribe today. We need subscribers because Brendan is gone, and people only subscribe or should only subscribe when Brendan is not around because it irritates him. And
11 more, to be exact.
We need 11 more. We've gained 4 today. So we're up to 489. We need 11 more to get to 500.
What were we at, 481 when Brendan left the studio on Wednesday?
I think that's correct, yes. Where are our heroes? We need 11 heroes out there to go to YouTube and search for 580 Sports Talk and subscribe to the YouTube channel and be a part of watching us and watching archived editions and watching our live content as well on YouTube. You can also watch us on Twitter, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook, WIBW News on Facebook, if you'd like to watch us there as well. However you're tuned in, we appreciate you being here. I'm Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis is across the glass. Brendan Wrzynski is on vacation. He will be back on Monday. Still to come on the show, we will talk some Royals baseball. Royals were winners 8-0 this afternoon. Seth Lugo shoved for 7 innings. The Royals ran up 7 runs in the 9th inning to turn a close one into a laugher and build a Will Smith-proof lead. I know it was Will Smith-proof because that's who pitched the bottom of the 9th inning. And it's 4 straight for the boys in blue. They're up to 17-10 on the season. As many wins on April 26th as they had on Memorial Day of last year. We'll talk some Royals baseball a little bit later on. Still plenty of draft to get to. We'll also crown a What Is Wrong With You weekly champion for this final full week of April. Next week, next Monday and Tuesday, we'll have our semifinals and April championship round of What Is Wrong With You. We will crown a final weekly champion this week. And our 580 Sports Talk headlines, of course, are coming on at the top of the 5 o'clock hour.
With our playoff roundup.
That's right. We got the playoff roundup coming up. Excited for the playoff roundup. Lots of vibe checking to get to between you and I.
Yeah, I'm going to be like 5 screening it tonight.
Oh, wow. 5 screens.
No, that was a little bit of a not. I wish I had 5 screens to 5 screen it. I only have.
Well, you're YouTube TV, right?
Yes.
Well, you can do the quad box. Did they let you do the quad box?
We'll see.
Or is that just for like certain days on the calendar where there are a bunch of sports on?
I don't know. I mean, I know I could do the quad box if I wanted to watch hockey games or basketball games together, but I don't know if you can quad box with the NFL draft.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if they let you. They should let you quad box anytime you want, any channels you want. I should be able to quad box like ESPN and TNT for a playoff basketball game, and ESPN2
and NBA TV if they had that, but I don't think they have that.
And the Home Shopping Network. Like if I wanted that to be my 4th quad box, they should let me do that. Like I want 3 sporting events, and then I want whatever Disney Channel original they're showing.
They've started to get better with that. I will say that a little bit better.
I mean, all I'm saying is PlayStation View had a 3-screen option like right away back in the day. RIP to PlayStation View. But we will do the playoff roundup at 5 o'clock as we always do. And of course, we are solicitous of your thoughts on round one of the NFL draft, the Chiefs selection of Xavier Worthy. Anything else you took away from day one of the draft? Hit us in the YouTube live chat.
Or you can subscribe to us. We only need 10 more subscribers.
Who are our 10 heroes? I know you're out there. YouTube.com, 580 Sports Talk. Find us, and if you are not subscribed, subscribe, and we can get to 500. Oh, my God, Brendan would be so mad. Oh, my God. We have already gained 9 since he left on Wednesday afternoon. We can do 10 more. I know you have it in us. I believe in you, those of you who are listening out there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/580 Sports Talk. I guess it's /at 580 Sports Talk, like the @ symbol. But find us and subscribe if you have not already. Comment in the YouTube live chat. We'd love to hear from you. You can also send us comments if you're watching on Twitter or Facebook. And, of course, the Top City Metal Supply text line is wide open at 785-272-9429, the Top City Metal Supply text line. We want to hear from you about the Chiefs selecting Xavier Worthy, not the pick that I would have made with all of the other wide receivers, particularly A.D. Mitchell still on the board, but I do like the idea of more speed in the Chiefs receiver room because that should reintroduce the deep ball element that the Chiefs have lacked the last couple of seasons. The rest of the first round of the NFL draft last night, it was chalk through the first 4 picks. There were no surprises in the first 4. If you were paying attention to the pre-draft hype, it was Caleb Williams to the Bears at number 1 overall, Jaden Daniels to the Commanders at number 2, Drake May to the Patriots at 3, Marvin Harrison Jr. to Arizona at 4. That's where the draft really began, following those first 4 picks. Let us take a moment and acknowledge DC Sports Insider Spencer Dupuis' Commanders have their quarterback of the future in Jaden Daniels. Thumbs up. You good to go? You all in on Jaden Daniels?
I want to be.
That doesn't sound like all in.
I want to be. I've been, but these naysayers have got into my head and kind of got me worried of an RG3 2.0.
You got to let the naysayers know. You got to let all naysayers know.
Did you see that was on the inside of someone's jacket?
Oh, it was it Terrion Arnold? It was.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it was one of the Alabama guys who was there. Yeah. Let all naysayers know. That's what that stands for.
Yes.
Lank. Yeah, Jaden Daniels, number 2 overall to the Commanders. Draft really started at number 5. Chargers went offensive tackle, selecting Joe Alt. I loved Jim Harbaugh's quote after the draft because there was a lot of thought that, well, wait a minute. The Chargers have a great quarterback in Justin Herbert, and presently he has no weapons. Wide receiver number 1 for the Chargers right now, as it stands, is Quentin Johnson. That's not very good. Wide receiver number 2 is Josh Palmer. That's not what you want either. So there was a question that Harbaugh fielded in his press conference last night, and he said something along the lines of, well, we consider offensive linemen to be weapons. Hell yeah. Love that. That is a bar. That goes crazy. And that's so Jim Harbaugh, too. That is the most Jim Harbaugh answer to that question. We think offensive linemen are weapons, especially elite ones. And there's no denying the Chargers got the most polished NFL-ready offensive lineman in the draft at number 5 overall. The big question, as we talked about with Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider in the last hour, was, is he going to go to right tackle and play out of position, or is he going to move Rashawn Slater out of position to go play right tackle, or are they just banking on Rashawn Slater never being healthy and Alt just playing a bunch of left tackle anyway? Remains to be seen, but he was the 5th overall pick. Giants go wide receiver Malik Neighbors of LSU at number 6. J.C. Latham, the mountainous offensive tackle from Alabama, went number 7 to the Titans. And then it got weird with Michael Penix Jr., the 8th overall pick by the Atlanta Falcons. I do not say this lightly. I try not to traffic in hyperbole on this show. I try not to. I'm not always successful, but I try not to traffic in hyperbole. That being said, the Falcons selecting Michael Penix is the most nonsensical thing I have ever seen a team do in the NFL draft in all my years of life. It is completely and utterly nonsensical. I want to read you the full quote from Falcons GM Terry Fontenot when he spoke to the media yesterday. This is what he had to say. Mark Raimondi, who, and I apologize if I got that last name wrong, but Mark covers the Falcons for ESPN. And he tweeted the full quote from Terry Fontenot last night. Quote, "If you believe in a quarterback, you have to take him. And if he sits for 4 or 5 years, that's a great problem to have because we're doing so well at that position. So it's as simple as if you see a guy you believe in at that position, you have to take him." End of quote. I believe that's a fireable quote from a general manager. I believe.
Did you see the video of the owner talking to him?
Yes, it looked like
the war room.
It looked like Arthur Blank wanted an explanation.
Yeah.
That did not look like, oh, hey, we're celebrating this obvious pick and we're really excited to add to our team. No, that looked like Arthur Blank walked up to Terry Fontenot and said, "Excuse me, what the hell?
Why did we just pay 90 or however many $1 million for Kirk Cousins?"
So let me parse out that quote from Fontenot. If he sits for 4 or 5 years, that's a great problem to have because we're doing so well at that position. Spencer, help me out. How long is a rookie contract?
Well, 4 years. But
Right.
if you're in the first round,
It could be 5.
could be 5 years if you exercise the 5th-year option.
So if Michael Penix sits for 4 or 5 years, you will have paid the number 8 overall pick at least $22 million plus the amount of his 5th-year option, whatever that may be, to hold a clipboard and hand off at the end of blowouts.
And be 29 years old if it's 5 years.
Yes, he turns 24 in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Even if Penix doesn't play for 2 years. If you look at the Kirk Cousins contract, because in case you've forgotten, and maybe Terry Fontenot did, the Falcons gave Kirk Cousins a 4-year contract earlier this offseason.
Wasn't it after 2 years, though, it's voidable or something like
It's
that?
easier to get out of after 2 years. Yes. Of the guarantees, there's $100 million in guarantees that are mostly paid out through the first 2 years. So theoretically speaking, the Falcons could get out of that deal in 2 years. But even if that's the case, even if we tried Kirk Cousins 2 seasons, I can't believe we didn't win anything meaningful with Kirk Cousins. I thought certainly it would work for us. But no, we didn't win anything meaningful with old Kirk Cousins off an Achilles tear. It's 2 years. We can dump this contract. We can move on. Even if that's the case, by the time Michael Penix takes a snap that matters for the Atlanta Falcons, he will be 26 years old. And I'm not trying to say this to be ageist, right? Like to say that just because Michael Penix Jr. will be old enough to not be on his parents' insurance by the time he takes a meaningful snap for the Falcons, I'm not saying that just because Michael Penix will be old enough to run for the United States Congress by the time he plays a meaningful football game again, that's bad.
Hey, we'll go back in the comments here to 338 from our favorite luminary, Lenny Dawson.
Lenny Dawson did check in and remind us that one of his contemporaries, Roger Staubach, was drafted at the age of 27 and didn't start until he was 29. Roger was a military man, so there's a little bit of a difference there. Just a little bit of difference there. Also, he won the Heisman Trophy. Also, he's a Hall of Famer. So you better think, like, that's what you're thinking you're getting with Michael Penix, that as soon as we put him in the lineup, whenever that is, we're getting a Hall of Famer. So, like, I don't say this to be ageist and say that, oh, if he's 26, that means he's worthless. He's washed up by the time if he takes his first snap at the age of 26. But this is the broader point. If you as an organization commit to paying a veteran quarterback $45 million annually and $100 million guaranteed, your intention is to win with that quarterback. Your intention is probably to win a Super Bowl with that quarterback. That's the idea, right? Like, the Falcons were miserable last year, but they still had a chance to win the NFC South because the NFC South is miserable. You bring in a guy like Kirk Cousins, who no, he has never won anything meaningful, but he has put up numbers and he has been on successful teams that have qualified for the postseason. That's your goal. That's the idea behind paying a quarterback, a veteran quarterback, that much money. One way that you can help your team win with your new expensive veteran quarterback is to use the number 8 overall pick in the draft on a blue chip talent at a position of need, like, let's say, pass rusher or defensive back. Do you know that the Falcons were one of the worst teams in the NFL last year at rushing the passer, getting sacks, and takeaways? They're one of the worst teams in the league at sacking the quarterback or taking the ball away from the other team. Spencer, how many of the best cornerbacks and edge rushers in this draft were on the board at number 8?
All of them.
Every last one of them.
All of them.
They could have had anyone they wanted at edge, anyone they wanted at defensive back. And that's what a winning organization would do if they just paid a quarterback $100 million in guarantees and $45 million annually. But on the flip side, if you were a bunch of losers, if you were historic all-time losers, if you were the biggest chokers in Super Bowl history, if you were an embarrassment to the organization of the National Football League, if you were the Atlanta Falcons, maybe you would draft a quarterback instead with that pick.
I had to check in on one of my good friends yesterday because he is, in fact, a Falcons fan. And the first thing I said was, wow, that was a stunner. And he basically, we talked for a little bit about some other stuff. And he said, I have to talk myself into this pick still. And that was like 20 minutes after the pick. I just don't understand staying instead of moving down.
Well, I think that they thought, and rightly, as it turned out, that there were going to be more quarterbacks taken in the first round. That J.J. McCarthy was going to go. That the Vikings needed a quarterback. That the Raiders needed a quarterback. That the Broncos needed a quarterback. So if they were going to take a quarterback, they weren't wrong to stay at 8.
Yeah,
they were just wrong to take a quarterback. It's nonsense. From the Top City Metal Supply text line from the 913, there are reasons why some teams pick at the top 10 every year. Ain't that the truth? Losing organizations are losing organizations for a reason. And we saw that. From the 316, look for the Falcons to draft Spencer Rattler in round 2. So I play fantasy football. I've been in a fantasy football league, one fantasy football league with friends of mine from college since I was in college, which was, this league's been going since 2007. This is a long-standing league.
Yeah.
One year, I forget which year it was, but it's more than a decade ago. One of the players in our fantasy league drafted 3 quarterbacks in the first 7 rounds of our fantasy football draft. We only play 1 quarterback, which I think that's real ball when it comes to fantasy football. Like, I don't understand the leagues where you play more than 1 quarterback. You play 1 quarterback per week. This guy drafted 3 quarterbacks. And as we're giving him grief for it during the draft, he says, well, somebody's going to need a quarterback and they're going to trade me. That never happened. He sat there with all those quarterbacks on his roster all year and finished in dead last. To this day, we make him name his fantasy team 3 QBs, 1 team. Like, we're still giving him grief for that all these years later. So that's the kind of move that the Falcons made. From the 913, didn't they take a running back last year with their first round pick? Yes, they did. When they had Tyler Algier, who they found in the 6th round and was surprisingly productive, and then last year at number 8 overall said, we got to take Bijan Robinson. We just took the 3 straight years. They have just said, what if we took the cool offensive player? Never mind like positional need. Never mind like draft capital value. Now we're just going to take a cool player. And how's that working out for the Atlanta Falcons? Not awesome. That's for sure. Moving forward in the draft, the Bears paired a wide receiver with their shiny new quarterback, Roma Dunze at number 9, J.J. McCarthy at 10. The Vikings, I don't think they needed to move up a draft spot to get McCarthy. They could have probably still stood pat at 11 and gotten their man, but they made sure that they got McCarthy. I actually think that's a really good landing spot for McCarthy. I guess I should say, I get why people don't like McCarthy. I get the criticism of McCarthy. I think he's going to be pretty decent. Like, I kind of like him, I think, better than Daniels or May, to be honest with you. I really think I might. I really think I might like him better than those 2 guys.
I was really hoping, part of me was like, if there's a shocker, it would be at 2, it would be JJ. If they were going to shock us, like if the Commanders were going to shock me as a fan, go JJ. Winning team, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's won in college.
Yeah. No, I think he's a great leader. I really do. Just like I think Penix is a great leader. I think physically he's got some tools. I think he'll be really good in the Vikings offense. Like, I think that's going to work. He's going to be surrounded with a lot of talent. I think that works for the Vikings. I really do. I'm higher on that pick than some people seem to be. The Jets moved back one spot, took Olu Fashanu from Penn State. Bo Nix to the Denver Broncos at number 12. The Broncos had to get a quarterback out of this draft. They had to, because we talked about it when they made the Zach Wilson trade a few days ago. They had the worst quarterback room maybe in the history of the NFL in Wilson and Jarrett Stidham and Ben DiNucci. They had to get a quarterback out of this draft. The problem was they didn't have the juice to trade up and go get even a J.J. McCarthy. They certainly didn't have enough juice. They only have one pick in the top 75. They didn't have a second-round pick. They are bereft of talent organizationally. They can't afford to trade any more first-round picks in the future. They've already done that. They did that for 2 years for Russell Wilson. They did that for a year for Sean Payton. They can't trade any more first-round picks. They had to get a quarterback. They didn't have the juice to go get one of the best ones, and they had to talk themselves into Bo Nix, who I think is worth noting was only good in college when he was 23 years old and playing against 19, 20-year-olds. Now, I have said on this show, he is the most Drew Brees-like of the quarterback class in terms of accuracy. And Sean Payton owes his entire career and reputation as a quarterback wizard to Drew Brees. So the fit makes sense. Like, Bo Nix to the Broncos makes sense. And I don't even really blame the Broncos for not trading down either, because as we talked about, the Raiders needed a quarterback in this draft too, and they're, at the moment, SOL. Like, they might have panic drafted Nix at 13 if the Broncos had let him go or traded back. So I don't blame the Broncos for staying where they were at, because they had to get a quarterback. But you took the sixth best quarterback in the draft, number 12 overall. When you don't have, who are the blue chip guys on the Bronco roster? Who are the blue chip talents on their roster? It's Patrick Surtain, the second, and I think that's it. I think those are the only guys you would consider top-end blue chip players on the Denver Bronco roster. And Bo Nix, for whatever you think of him as a prospect, nobody's got him confused with a prospect on the level of Caleb Williams or Drake May. This is a bad pick for the Broncos, made possible by years and years of bad decision-making. If I'm Sean Payton, and especially if I'm Bronco general manager George Payton, I would send Terry Fontenot a gift basket today. Thanks for taking the heat off of me. Absolute nonsense. As a texter from the 785 points out, Broncos are also bereft of talent in the front office. That's a fact. That's a fact. Rest of the first round, Brock Bowers to the Raiders at 13. Love the player. Not sure about the fit, but love the player. Talise Fuaga, Oregon State offensive tackle to the Saints at 14. Laitu Latu was the first defensive player taken at number 15. He goes to the Colts. My Seahawks get Byron Murphy the second out of Texas. I love that pick. What an awesome player. I can't believe the Seahawks got the best interior defender in the draft in Byron Murphy. I'm very excited. Dallas Turner to the Vikings. Vikings had a heck of a draft. They went up and got one of the best edge guys. A lot of people thought he was the best edge guy in the draft, and they traded up with Jacksonville to get him at number 17. Cincinnati does get a giant offensive tackle, Amarius Mims from Georgia. He'll fit right in. Jared Verse, 19th to the Rams. They edge out of Florida State. Steelers get an offensive lineman, Troy Fatuanu from Washington. Chop Robinson to the Dolphins at 21. Really like that pick for them. I think that's a good fit. Eagles get the best cornerback in the draft somehow in Quinyon Mitchell, number 22. Mitchell from Toledo goes to the Eagles. They were dying for corners.
Who picked that pick?
You did, Spencer. We'll give you your flowers. Be patient. Jacksonville at 23 takes Brian Thomas from LSU, the wide receiver. Detroit moved up 5 spots to number 24 and took Terrion Arnold, the corner from Alabama. Green Bay selected Jordan Morgan, offensive lineman from Arizona. I did not think that was the offensive lineman that the Packers had their eye on, but maybe a little bit better fit for them. The possibility that he could play tackle in addition to guard that maybe Graham Barton out of Duke didn't really have. Speaking of Barton, he went with the very next pick, number 26 to Tampa Bay. Arizona selected Darius Robinson out of Mizzou at defensive end. Then, of course, the Chiefs at 28 take Xavier Worthy. Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle, Oklahoma to Dallas at 29. Nate Wiggins, the corner from Clemson to Baltimore at 30. San Francisco takes a wide receiver at 31. Did that surprise you as much as it surprised me?
Yeah.
Do you think it's an indicator they're going to trade one of their 2 star wide receivers?
I think they're taking calls heavily.
Ricky Pearsall to San Francisco.
Him there shocked me.
You know,
I thought he was a mid-second.
When you're picking this late and you see a guy get taken that's a bit of an eyebrow raiser in terms of, boy, I didn't think that player was going to go in the first round. I'm surprised that player has a first round evaluation, but it's somebody picking that low in the draft. You kind of give them the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah, and I think too, if I don't know what their second round pick is, if they think that they need a receiver and he's their guy, he's their favorite, and he won't be there by the time they go in the second round, I guess you pull that trigger.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but yeah, like when you pick that late and you don't have, I don't believe they have an early second round pick or maybe the juice to go get one. You take the guy you want and you say, that's our guy. We got to have him. Carolina moved up to 32 from 33 to round out the first round. They took Xavier Legette, the wide receiver from South Carolina. So
yeah, they're picking 63 in the second round.
Yeah.
So
outside of your favorite team's pick, Spencer, who was your favorite pick of the first round? Just in terms of fit, in terms of value, who was your favorite pick of the first round?
Ooh. I want to say
I'll answer first. I loved Minnesota trading up for Dallas Turner.
I'll say JJ McCarthy is a good fit, I think.
I think Minnesota had a great first day.
Yes.
Kwasi Adolfo-Mensah, their GM, Kevin O'Connor, their head coach. I thought O'Connell, not O'Connor. I thought that was an outstanding first day for them. There are a lot of picks I really liked. Outside of, there were a lot of picks early on that were picks of dire need, and that left like the value, the blue chip talent for all the playoff teams.
I do say I really do like Rome Odunze to the Bears. Like they're between Cole Kmet, their tight end, DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and who'd they get at running back?
DeAndre Swift.
They got DeAndre. They have Caleb Williams set up to succeed.
I think they do too.
They got a left tackle last year in the first round. So that always helps when you have a left tackle, Darnell Wright, that's projected to be a very good tackle in the league. And this is the glue guy, it appears, for Caleb Williams. And I think it was mentioned to him that they wanted him because they've been throwing together for weeks. They flew together to Detroit.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like that was going to be their pick at 9 after you go through and kind of put the tea leaves together.
Worst pick of the first round, Penix?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've spoken our piece on that. We're going to take a break.
I got one more.
The
most aggressive / risky pick.
Okay.
If it's not him, Latu.
If he's healthy, if the medicals check out, I think he's an impact player.
But
I like him a lot. But
medicals
also
could check out now, but you get one injury.
They told him to retire from football 2 years ago.
Yeah, and he apparently has an injury similar to what who was it, Leighton Vander Esch?
I think that's right.
Yeah, had with the Cowboys that just had him have to retire a couple months ago.
I hope for the best for the player. You're not wishing ill on any of these kids, obviously. But the medicals are concerning for Latu. That not enough for him to be, again, the first defender off the board at 15 overall. We do owe you a break. We'll come back with what is wrong with you next here on 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you time on 580 Sports Talk as we crown a weekly champion. This will be the fourth and final weekly champion for the month of April. We will have our semifinals on Monday and then the April championship on the final day of the month on Tuesday. Two new stories today trying to dethrone our current champion, the Spaghetti Incident, not the Guns N' Roses album of the same name. No, we're talking about a woman who had a gun pulled on her, a pregnant woman who had a gun pulled on her and then spaghetti thrown at her car and into her car in a road rage incident in Indianapolis last Saturday. Going to be a tough one to knock off, but we've got two news stories. Spencer, why don't you go first?
All right, I'm going to take you out to San Bernardino County, California. Deputies arrested multiple people for trying to steal a freight train at the Gajan Pass.
Trying to steal from a freight train.
From a freight train.
Big difference.
Yeah.
That is the Cajon Pass, by the way.
At the Cajon Pass in what resembled a scene from an old Western movie. Victorville commuter. Hold on. I have to get this ad. This is a very ad website.
Ad pops up in front of you.
CBSnews.com is pulling ads everywhere. Victorville commuter Elas Vasquez bumped into a swarm of law enforcement officers as he made the long drive home Tuesday night through the pass. He said he didn't know that the officers had just busted an auto theft ring in the West Valley where looters use stolen vehicles to burglarize the freight trains from Burlington, northern Santa Fe.
Hey, they used to ride horses to do this.
Yeah.
And now it's stolen cars.
Hey,
the game done changed.
A San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department spokesman said the unnamed suspects forcibly stopped the trains just before 5 p.m. to steal merchandise. Authorities said the thieves boarded a BNSF train, immobilizing it. Then they cut open the locked shipping containers and tried to load cargo into stolen vehicles. The theft shared similarities to the thieves along the rails in downtown LA in 2022. KCL News broke the story of the rampant thefts from cargo trains. Thousands of discarded cardboard boxes littered the tracks. A task force was formed because of that theft. In the end, nearly 24 organized criminals were arrested and accused of stealing millions worth of cargo. But last week, this happened in San Bernardino County. So yeah, this is apparently becoming a big thing now, or where people are going into cargo or freight trains and stealing the merchandise out of them.
Wow.
Like an old heist in the Western movie.
Except again, with horsepower and not actual horses.
Yes.
A wild story. All right, for mine, we're going to Trotwood, Ohio, where police served a search warrant at a smoke shop Wednesday morning around 9 a.m. at Best Buds Depot because, well, marijuana is not legal in Ohio, but they were running it out of the smoke shop. Officers moved in and removed large amounts of suspected marijuana from the business. A large amount, I'm not going to say exactly how much marijuana we took, but we took a large amount from that location, said Trotwood Police Chief Eric Wilson. Wilson said they had received community complaints that the business was selling marijuana illegally. So if you want to know where all the narcs are, they're in Trotwood, Ohio. He said the department made some controlled purchases of a product, sent it to a state lab for testing. Those samples all came back with THC levels above 3%, which is illegal in Ohio. Now, certain THC products are legal even in states where marijuana is not legal. One of those states being Kansas. You may be aware that you are able to obtain THC products here, but there's a limit as to how much THC they can contain. And Best Buds was apparently not observing those laws. That led to the search warrant. Police said they also seized 18 weapons, 12 rifles and handguns while serving their search warrant. One of the great quotes of the year from the police chief, Eric Wilson here. Drugs and guns is not a good combination. It just isn't. I don't care what kind of law they passed. I just don't think that drugs and guns are a good combination. I think you're right, Chief. I think you've nailed it. So we got those stories today. We got the Wild West train robbery, and we've got the smoke shop getting smoked by the all the snitches in Trotwood.
In where I used to live, they had a similar scenario to what your story was about. It was a smoke shop that was selling marijuana, and they also seized guns.
Go figure that. Jeffrey in the YouTube live chat wondered if the train robbers were driving Mustangs. That's clever. That's really good. Also, Paul from the YouTube live chat, Trotwood, more like Potwood. Got him. Got him. What wins today? I'm going to go with the train robbery, the brazen train heist, except you weren't willing to really put in the work to make it true Wild West and learn how to ride a horse. Yeah, do it with your cars. Lazy, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say that only because I've heard a similar story.
Sure.
To the marijuana seize story.
So that wins today, but does that take down the spaghetti incident?
I don't think so.
I think Christopher sums it up well, in the YouTube live chat. The Road Rager should do serious time. That was disgusting and uncalled for. What a horrible person. How can they waste delicious spaghetti like that? Jeffrey said, throw me some garlic bread if you're going to do that. Well done to the YouTube live chat. You guys are in good form on this Friday.
They're popping off today.
The Spaghetti Incident, our weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. We're going to take a break, talk a little more NFL draft after this. .447 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer running the two-man game this afternoon. Brendan Wierzinski high up in the hills of Tennessee. He'll be back with
his head right now.
Where are we at on the spot on the subscriber count?
We're still at 292.
Still at 92.
492.
92. We need 8 more heroes we'll give it the weekend. We need 8 more of you to be our heroes and subscribe to 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. we can get to 500 subscribers, we would greatly appreciate it. If we can get there while Brendan is on vacation, you have no idea how uproariously funny we would find it.
Yeah.
So subscribe to the YouTube 580 Sports Talk. The live chat's popping off today. We appreciate everybody who's a part of that today and every day over there. You can communicate with us on the YouTube live chat. You can also hit us on the Top City Mail Supply text line, 785-272-9429. Day 2 of the NFL draft is tonight. Round 2 get underway here in about an hour and change. Rounds 2 and 3 are held tonight. The Chiefs are down to having just one pick tonight. They are picking 64th overall, the final pick of the second round. They traded back out of the third round and got a fourth round pick as part of the trade that saw them move up to get Xavier Worthy last night. I checked out mock drafts from the Athletics, Dane Brugler, ESPN's Steve Munch, and the NFL Network's Lance Zierlein this afternoon. All three of those mock drafts have the Chiefs taking an offensive tackle with their second pick. And that's not surprising. I thought it was interesting, though, that all three of them had the Chiefs going with a different offensive tackle at number 64. Dane Brugler of The Athletic has the Chiefs selecting Notre Dame's Blake Fisher. Steve Munch says it will be Matt Gonsalves out of Pitt. And Lance Zierlein went with a name that should be familiar to you if you've been listening to us for the last week, Yale offensive tackle Karan Amagaji. Spencer, you did a rounds 2 through 7 mock draft today.
Yes, had some time while the Royals were playing.
Did that while we were watching the Royals in the bullpen this afternoon. You also have the Chiefs going offensive line. You also have them going Blake Fisher at 64.
Yes, I do. That was the best offensive lineman available at 64.
Now, were guys like Kingsley Suamataia from BYU, Patrick Paul from Houston, had those guys come off the board by then?
Yes.
So if I were...
Patrick Paul, I think, had gone off the board 2 picks prior.
Okay.
So
would you have taken Paul over Fisher?
Yes.
Okay.
I was hoping he fell. I was watching it, and then I'm like, come on, get to the Chiefs pick, get to the Chiefs pick. And yeah, the next best option was Blake Fisher.
So Blake Fisher's definitely a tackle for me. It's the one thing that, some of the project offensive tackles might have been guys you had to move to guard like Jordan Morgan. But I think Blake Fisher at 6'6", 310 is definitely a tackle. Lance Zierlein talked about him in the NFL.com, graded him as a round 2 to 3 pick. Here's the scouting report on Fisher. Athletic tackle with the talent to gain some traction in a draft that is deep at his position. Capable climber and puller as a move blocker. Does a nice job of drive blocking with plus techniques. Establishes his anchor against a bull rush, but will occasionally struggle to open his hips and keep edge rushers from flattening into the pocket. Fisher needs to do a better job with consistency and finishing blocks, but he has the tape and tools to become a starter at either tackle spot. So that's appealing to me with Fisher, is he is firmly a tackle. Like, there's no concern for me that, maybe we got a guard. Maybe he can't handle tackle in the NFL. He can play tackle. I think Amagaji's a tackle. I think that Patrick Paul is a tackle. I think that Kingsley Suamataia is a tackle. I think if the Chiefs walk away from tonight with any one of those 4 guys, I think they can be pretty pleased.
Yeah.
With how they came out. You also mocked, while we're here, the rest of the draft for the Chiefs.
I think I made one trade.
You did. You made a trade. Who else do you have the Chiefs selecting? Real quick, if you can run through it with us.
131, Jalen Ford, the linebacker out of Texas. So we'll reunite 2 Texas teammates here.
It's an interesting pick. I like I think he's good value at that spot, though I'm not sure that the Chiefs are really in the market for a linebacker, but it would be really good value, I think, at 131.
Yeah, I reached for a corner 2 picks later at 133.
Okay.
Based upon the big board, not based upon corner.
Sure.
And I got Chowell Smith Wade out of Washington State.
Okay.
159, Jordan Jefferson out of LSU, the defensive tackle.
Chiefs probably in the market for a defensive tackle day 3.
177, which was that part of the trade yesterday or the one that I made?
That was the one you made.
Yeah.
You were wheeling and dealing.
Don't remember who I traded with because this doesn't show it. But I did acquire Kansas safety Kenny Logan Jr.
That would make a lot of Jayhawk fans happy. I like Kenny Logan Jr. as a college player. I don't know enough about what his NFL evaluation is, but I could see him being a useful piece. And again, if the Chiefs were to like a defensive back and take him in on day 3, I would trust that inherently, no matter who they were.
And then with the pick swapped in the latter round.
Into round 7 now.
Yep, at 230, which I think might have been or no.
That was you.
Yeah, that was also me. It didn't show the trade from yesterday. It showed it as their automatic pick. That's what I was confused about. So I did make a trade there as well. I got Tanner McLaughlin, the tight end from Arizona.
Okay.
At 230, and at 248, their final pick, I got running back Rasheen Ali Marshall, who's been mocked in a few drafts as the last pick.
Rasheen Ali, you're a Marshall guy.
Yes.
So you got a little hometown bump there.
Yeah.
We're giving Spencer the reins to do this, by the way, because he crushed us in the mock draft competition. So you can see all of our mock drafts still. If you go to 580wibw.com, you can see who all we had in our first round mock drafts. Coming in dead last after winning the last 2 years competitions, Brendan Dworzinski. He had 5 correct picks. Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., all correctly mocked to the teams that drafted them. I had 7 correct picks. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., J.J. McCarthy, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze. I got 7 of the first 9 right. But then Spencer comes through and just annihilates us with 11 correct picks. Williams, Daniels, May, Harrison Jr., Neighbors, McCarthy, Olu Fashanu to the Jets, Verse, Quinyon Mitchell to Philly, Tyler Guyton to Dallas, and Xavier Worthy to Kansas City. He crushed us at the end of the draft. So congratulations to Spencer, the winner of the 2024 580 Sports Talk Mock Draft Challenge. Try to be even benevolent holder of the throne when we come back and we reconvene for this next year. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, big day of sports headlines, big news for KU and K-State hoops, as well as a playoff roundup. We'll talk some Royals. We'll get our final thoughts on the draft. And of course, your texts and your YouTube comments. It's all coming up in the final hour of this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Final hour of the day, final hour of the week here on 580 Sports Talk. I'm Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis is at the controls. Brendan Brzezinski is playing wiffle ball with his friends in Tennessee. He's on vacation. He'll be back on Monday. Thanks for being with us on this edition of 580 Sports Talk, whether you're listening on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, or if you're checking us out on our video stream, which you can find on Facebook at WIBW News, on Twitter at 580 Sports Talk, and on YouTube on our 580 Sports Talk channel, where we have 497 subscribers as of right this moment. Who will be our three heroes who get us to the nice round number of 500 before the weekend? Can we get three more in an hour, Spencer?
I think so.
I think we can do it. I think there are three of you that have it in you to go to the YouTube app on your phone or go to youtube.com and find 580 Sports Talk and subscribe to the channel so you can see all of our videos. If you ever miss any of the show and you want to check it out on the video stream, you can watch our archived shows. You can watch our live reactions to the NFL draft,
which we're doing later tonight,
which we will do later tonight. You can join us immediately following the end of the second round. Well, I guess let me clarify. As of right now, our plan is to go live, Spencer and I, at the conclusion of round 2, when the Chiefs are scheduled to pick 64th overall. They may move up, they may move back. But whatever they do, if they pick in round 2, we're going to go live at the conclusion of round 2. If the Chiefs make a third round pick, we will go live at the end of round 3. And we will recap the day. We will recap what the Chiefs have done. We'll look ahead to day number 3. But you can join us on the YouTube stream. If you subscribe, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, when you go to the YouTube app or you go to the website, our videos will pop up there on the front page. It's a nice, easy way to stay in touch and to watch our mouths make the words that
shout out to another one
to.
of you for $4.98.
We're at $4.98. 2 more heroes. I know you're out there. It's a Friday. You're maybe just getting off of work. Who are our heroes? I know you're out there somewhere. And if you happen to be subscriber 500 and you see that number go to 500, jump in the live chat on YouTube and tell us you were 500. And maybe we can get Brendan to do something nice for you after he gets done being angry about the whole thing, which, make no mistake about it, he will be a little bit upset.
$4.99.
Oh, my goodness. We need one more. Oh, my gosh. We're actually going to do it. I didn't think we'd do it. I think we're going to pull it off. That's amazing. In the meantime, while we wait for number 500, it's time for the final Choose Your Trip 2024 keyword of the day. We've been running this contest for the last 3 weeks from Alpha Media. You go to 580WIBW.com, click on the Choose Your Trip link, and type in the keyword. It is only good for this 5 o'clock hour, so you have 50 minutes, give or take, to type in this final keyword and get registered to win a trip to anywhere you want to go.
You just made the list. Top 3. You just made the list.
Click the wrong one. I'm trying to find our favorite.
Wait, let me do the keyword first. That was shout out to Fulton. He made that one. The keyword for 5 o'clock is vacation. 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 Go to 580WIBW.com and click the Choose Your Trip 2024 sweepstakes. Enter that keyword to be registered to win. We did it.
Having a good time out there. Don't stop the ball.
500. Shout out to Daniel in the YouTube chat. He's number 500.
I think we've even gone to 501.
Oh, my goodness. I really didn't think we'd actually do it. That's so
503.
Yes, let's go. We did it. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you hanging out and being a part of the gag. We really appreciate this. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on YouTube. You got to see me dance there a little bit for Pitbull.
So I apologize for clicking the wrong button. It's hard to find that because everything's so tight in there. because we have so much log jammed onto one page.
That's true. That is true. But thank you for being the subscribers on YouTube, and thank you for listening to 580 Sports Talk. Here in this final hour of the show, we've got our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Lots to get to in the headlines. We're going to talk some Royals baseball. We came on after the Royals finished off the Tigers with an 8-0 shutout victory. 3 pitchers combining to shut out the Motor City Kitties this afternoon for a 4th straight Royals victory as they improved to 17-10 on the year. And we'll give our final thoughts on day 1 of the NFL draft and look ahead again to day 2, rounds 2 and 3 getting underway here in about 48 minutes or so. But before we get to that, we will start with our 580 Sports Talk headlines. And we start with a big day in college basketball news as both Kansas and Kansas State get a commitment from the transfer portal. We'll start with K-State. Brendan Housen, the sharpshooter out of Villanova, made it official today that he will be a Wildcat. Brendan Housen loves to shoot the three-pointer. He doesn't really shoot much of anything else, but he is a three-point marksman. He shot the ball 176 times last season as a member of the Villanova Wildcats. 160 of those shots were three-pointers. 91% of his field goal attempts were from behind the arc. Housen stands 6'4", weighs 205 pounds, made 43% of those threes this past season in 32 games, 43% he shot as a freshman. He shot 38% in 34 games as a sophomore, averaged 6 points per game, and he provides an element that K-State was sorely lacking last year, the ability to catch and shoot and make. There were a lot of shooters. There weren't a lot of makers on last year's Kansas State men's basketball team.
Nope.
They're playing shooters. They didn't have a lot of makers. Tyler Perry was not quite the maker that he was advertised to be. R.J. Jones had his opportunities, but did not prove to be a maker of the shots that he was willing to take. But Brendan Housen is going to knock down some threes, and that is why he was coveted by K-State in the transfer portal. I do not necessarily think he's going to start for K-State, but he will certainly play a big role in the guard rotation for the Wildcats. Also in the transfer portal, it has been long anticipated and long expected, and today it was finally made official. Rylan Griffin is a Kansas Jayhawk. He visited last week, wanted to take a week to, I guess, chill and not make his announcement public, but everybody tied into this was pretty certain that as soon as he visited Lawrence, this was a fait accompli that Griffin would sign with the Jayhawks, and he committed to them today. A 6'6", 190-pound wing with 2 years of eligibility left. Another marksman, shot 39% from behind the arc for the Crimson Tide, averaged 11 points, 3.5 boards, and nearly 2 assists per game. The kind of knockdown shooter that Bill Self's team sorely lacked last year. So that was all expected business. We've also got a departure and a return to tell you about from college basketball. It's been reported from multiple sources that Quez Glover will not return to Kansas State. He will enter the transfer portal. Glover's K-State career grounded before it ever had a chance to take off. He was injured before the season began. There was anticipation that perhaps he would return for the start of Big 12 play, but I think it was the day before he was scheduled to come back from injury, he was injured again. And as such, never played a game as a Wildcat. Veteran guard who had committed to BYU and then decommitted and then committed again to K-State as a grad transfer this past season. Well, since he never played, he has a chance to take a medical redshirt year and maintain his eligibility to play one more season somewhere else. So Quez Glover will play that season. He just won't play it as a Wildcat. Hunter Dickinson, meanwhile, will stay a Jayhawk. Again, this was widely expected to be the case, but Dickinson went ahead and made it official today with the help of his coach, who dusted off the old Twitter fingers this afternoon.
This was great.
Bill Self, as anyone knows, is not a volume tweeter by any means.
We went and read through all the tweets since for a year ago.
Yeah, he tweeted like roughly half a dozen times in the last year. And one of those was that really long one about Kevin McCullough's injury status. That had been his most recent tweet. He tweets about like charity functions and things like that. But, he's not the kind of coach that's going to tweet, great win tonight, #rock chalk. Like, that is not Bill Self style. He is not a volume tweeter.
Or retweet people coming to take visits, unfortunately.
Right.
Like Jerome Tang does.
Yes, Jerome Tang will retweet that. Jerome Tang will tweet dudes anytime they get a commitment. Like, he is much more online than Bill Self is. And that's fine. There's no right way or wrong way to do this. But anytime Bill Self does tweet, it gets people's attention, which is why when he tweeted earlier today, it got everyone's attention. The tweet read, hey, @H_Dickinson24. Have you made a decision yet? Everybody wants to know what you're thinking. That was an obvious setup, the alley, if you will. And Twitter user @H_Dickinson24, better known as Kansas center Hunter Dickinson, responded, yeah, you're right, coach. I guess it's time to tell everyone I'm coming back, rock chalk. So that was his big announcement. A little bit more subdued than when he announced he was coming to Kansas in the first place. They had that big video where he walked into the practice gym and Bill Self was there and they dapped up. This is a little bit more subdued, but it does confirm what had been widely anticipated. Hunter Dickinson will return for his final year of eligibility to Kansas. He was an All-American last year, averaged 18 points and 11 rebounds, fought through injury to put up those numbers. Pretty much everybody is going to have Kansas as the number one team in the country next year. Just be prepared for that they will be the preseason number one. Of course, they were the preseason number one last year and failed to make it out of the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. But this sure feels like it's going to be a deeper roster. Again, we have said that before and been wrong about Kansas teams of recent vintage, but things are lining up pretty well for Bill Self and the Jayhawks.
And things are starting to line up, too. I think I read that Riley Kugel, who had committed a transfer out of Florida, trying to get his academics squared away to be able to go to KU, and it looks like he's in the process of doing that.
That is the hope, that he could do that. But, that's kind of still up in the air to this point. But that is the latest from both K-State and KU as the transfer portal turns, if you will. And our first 580 Sports Talk headline. Spencer, your turn.
This was going to be from yesterday, but I got to do it, right? I got to do it. We manifested this, too.
We did. When were we talking about retired jersey
numbers?
Was that Tuesday?
Tuesday, we were talking about retired jersey numbers, and we were talking about, and I brought up the Commanders have retired jerseys that aren't really retired, but they're retired. And then yesterday, about like noonish, a video got posted to the Commanders' social media. Daryl Green was in the facility for what he thought was voicing an NFL draft hype video, which he did and did very good of. But also he got a live video call from Josh Harris that his number is going to be retired. He joins Sammy Ball, Bobby Mitchell, Sonny Jurgensen, and Sean Taylor as the former players to have their jerseys officially retired from the Commanders. And I think all of us agreed that if anybody else from the Commanders was to do it, it would be this guy, because he's of how long he played and playing for one team and still being as good as he was at the end of his career.
So Daryl Green was fascinating as a player because not only did he play forever. I have one thing to play into your 40s. We've seen guys do that. It's another thing to see him do it at defensive back, which Daryl Green did. And it's quite another that even as he was playing into his 40s, when his career wrapped up in 2002, he was still one of, if not the fastest guy in the entire league. He always had that elite speed, never lost it from the start of his career to the very finish of his career. Played 295 games and started 258 of them, 54 career interceptions, 8 career defensive touchdowns.
I think the most infamous thing from his career,
7 Pro Bowls, 3 times an All-Pro. Great career.
The most infamous thing, I think, from his career was the divisional playoff game against the Bears. He returned a punt 52 yards for the game-winning touchdown. He was grabbing at his center mid-stomach. He ended up tearing a rib cage while vaulting over a tackler during the return.
Oh, jeez.
But merely grabbed his side and kept running until he scored.
So it's a real live version of the Greg Jennings, I
Yes.
put my team on my back door
Yes.
touchdown. One of the great viral videos in the history of the internet. Greg Jennings. This man broke his leg. Darren Sharper, one of the hardest hitting safeties in the league. Yeah, you know the video. If you don't know the video of Greg Jennings, somebody controlling Madden character, Greg Jennings scoring a touchdown with a broken leg, putting the team on his back. Like that's the real live analog is Darrell Green tearing a rib cage muscle and still scoring a touchdown in the playoffs for Washington. An all-time great player in that franchise's history. You said he deserved to have his number retired, and it's cool that they're finally going to do it. Speaking of post-career honors, Washburn University today announced the athletic class of 2024 for the Hall of Fame. There will be 5 former Ichabod athletes and 1 team that will be inducted into the Hall of Fame this coming fall. It will be the home football game against Northwest Missouri on October 5th. That will be the induction for these athletes. Former football star Trent Hearn, who finished his Washburn career as the all-time leading rusher in program history and still owns the record for most career rushing touchdowns with 48. Trent Hearn, class of 06, is going to the Hall of Fame. Marissa Cox Horstick, class of 2014 volleyball player, first team All-American in 2013, first team All-MIAA in 2013 and 2014, and owns the school record for the most kills in a single MIAA tournament match. Molly Lacey, class of 2011, also on the volleyball court for Washburn, honorable mention All-American in 2009. When she retired, she had 4 of the top 5 single-season attack percentage averages in program history, was part of 2 regular season championship teams in the MIAA for Washburn. Softball player Tish Williams, class of 2010, who finished her Ichabod career as the MIAA and Washburn's all-time home runs leader. She hit 61 circuit clouts in her career, was the Offensive Player of the Year in the MIAA as a junior. She remains Washburn's all-time leader in slugging percentage, on-base percentage, total bases, and walks. And Jemmy Johnson, class of 1995, basketball, scored 1,215 points in 3 years as an Ichabod. That ranked 6th on the all-time charts when his career ended, now 16th all-time. Every year he played as an Ichabod, Washburn reached the NCAA tournament. The team entry into the Washburn Hall of Fame this year, the 2000-2001 Ichabod men's basketball team, they were the first team in history to reach the NCAA championship game. Of course, Washburn famously won an NAIA national championship, but after moving to Division II, the Ichabod men in 2001 were the first to reach an NCAA championship final, falling to Kentucky Wesleyan in the championship game. They went 29-5, 15-3 in the MIAA, won the league and tournament championships that year, were coached, of course, by Bob Chipman. That is the class of 2024, the Washburn Athletic Hall of Fame. Next headline, Spencer.
Yes, this is coming from The Athletic and Andrew Marchand. We know the NBA on TNT. We know the NBA on ABC/ESPN. But we may soon know the NBA on Amazon Prime Video. The NBA's next media rights deal has been a looming question as the league's contracts with the aforementioned TNT and ESPN expire after the 24-25 season. Now we know one partner that will be part of the package. Amazon Prime Video and the NBA have agreed to the parameters of a deal that would make the streaming and retail giant a major platform for game telecasts. Amazon's deal would begin in the 25-26 season, and terms are expected to last for at least 10 years. Regular season and postseason games would be part of the Prime Video's package, with the possibility of including some conference finals down the line. Global rights to the NBA broadcast could also be part of the package. The financial terms of the deal have not been reported. ESPN has reportedly paid $1.6 billion per year in its agreement, while TNT has paid $1.2 billion per year. ESPN and ABC also has the workings of a new deal in place, according to Puck's John Orland, another media writer or another media reporter.
Right.
The network would maintain its A package of games, with ABC getting exclusive rights to the NBA Finals in an agreement that would also last for at least 10 years. However, ESPN is expected to televise fewer games as part of the new package, while those will go to another partner. which could be TNT or whoever else decides to come in. I think NBC might be back in.
Yeah, it's Warner Brothers Discovery who owns TNT,
Yes.
the Turner Networks, and Comcast who owns NBC, bidding for the last piece of that broadcast package. It is difficult to imagine the NBA not being on TNT.
Yes.
Because the NBA not being on TNT means you don't have Inside the NBA with Charles and Shaq
They'll get picked
and
up by
Kenny
another
and
network.
Ernie. They better. It's the best. It is the best studio show on television and has been for a very, very long time. They were so funny last night.
I mean, we saw what happened with the NHL on NBC when it dissolved. They grabbed a few guys. TNT did. Also, did you know TNT has their own sports show, like daily show on True TV?
I sure didn't.
TNT Sports Now or something?
First time hearing of it.
Yeah. Google is interested in carrying League Pass, the out-of-market package, which would build on their out-of-market package like they have with the NFL.
Yeah, they have. They distribute the NFL Sunday Ticket and might want to distribute the League Pass as well. That's fascinating. Amazon Prime must think it's good business to do sports because if they weren't getting the return on investment from the NFL, I doubt that they would have continued on to try and get more sports to stream live.
Yeah.
So it must be good business for them. I know that there will be people who complain about more games being on streaming, but if people weren't watching, they wouldn't be trying to pay for it, I suppose. All right, one last headline. You know what time it is.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
We were a little off sync there. We'll get there. We got like 2 more months of playoffs left. We'll really get that down as we go. It's time for the Playoff Roundup, everybody's favorite segment within a segment in the 580 Sports Talk headlines. We'll start in the association. Last night on the hardwood, Joel Embiid put up a 50-burger. He's dealing with not only a knee injury, but also Bell's palsy. Did you see this?
I did not.
He's got a case of Bell's palsy. He can't blink his left eye right now.
That's got to be
for those unfamiliar, maybe you're familiar with the sports broadcaster, WWE voice, Jim Ross. He had Bell's palsy, basically paralyzes half of your face. And Joel Embiid's dealing with that right now, which is wild. I can't think of another instance of an active professional athlete dealing with Bell's palsy. He's got that. He's got the bum knee. He put up a 50 ball anyway as the Sixers defeated the Knicks in a must-win Game 3 of that first-round series in Philadelphia last night. It was also a must-win spot for the Magic at home, and they got it done. They blasted the Cavaliers to get back into that series out east. In the West, the Lakers were hoping they could do the same and protect their home court. Instead, they lost to the Nuggets for the 11th straight time. And when I tell you the Nuggets did not break a sweat in the fourth quarter of that game and still won by 7, I'm not exaggerating. That was light work for the Nuggets, who are 1 game away from a second consecutive playoff sweep of the Lakers. Game 4 of that series on Saturday. Tonight, Milwaukee at Indianapolis and the Clippers at Dallas. Both of those series are tied. Also, Minnesota visits Phoenix, looking to go up 3-0. Phoenix trying to protect their home court in that Western Conference Series. A quick NBA vibe check for yours truly. Vibes could not be higher. The Nuggets didn't break a sweat last night. I'm not even sure Nikola Jokic tried. I don't think he got out of second gear all night. 24, 15, and 9. Like it's the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's so funny how much they own the Lakers. It's so funny. In the NHL, it's all over but the shouting in the Atlantic Division playoffs. The Panthers and Hurricanes took 3-0 leads over the Lightning and Islanders, respectively, last night. We've got 4 games tonight. 3 series are tied at 1, with the scenes shifting to the lower seed. Nashville, Colorado, and Los Angeles out west, looking to press home ice advantage in their tied series against, respectively, Vancouver, Winnipeg, and Edmonton. Out east, the Caps are on home ice tonight. Capitals, Rangers, Capitals down 2-0 in that series. Spencer, vibe check. How we feeling?
Well, it doesn't look like my theory is going to reign true with a goalie switch from Charlie Lindgren to Darcy Kemper. The lineups aren't out yet, I have seen, but Lindgren was first off the ice this morning.
So he's starting. That means he's starting, for those of you who are not as hockey literate.
Unless they make a last-minute move.
Let me ask you this. if Alex Ovechkin had entered your life not as one of the all-time great goal scorers in NHL history, but as, let's say, like a 6'8" combo guard who averaged 25 points a game for 20 seasons and led the Wizards to winning season after winning season and ultimately a championship, would you be more of a basketball guy than a hockey guy? Was it just kind of an accident of this phenomenon wound up in my life and this is why I am this way?
Probably, because I tried to be a wall guy. I tried to get into that. That playoff, the little run that they had in the playoffs. What was it? When the Paul Pierce game, like that got me there, and then everything just
that's kind of the history of the old Washington Wizards. So vibe check for me tonight. I mean, Colorado sports vibes could not be higher right now. I think the Avs are going to find a way to take a 2-1 series lead tonight. I don't all the way believe in Alexander Georgiev, but if he can just play like he did in game 2, I think the Avs have Connor Hellebuck's number on the other end.
And the Caps had 2 guys injured, Rasmus Sedin and Nick Jensen. They were practicing this morning, but they were like a game time. Just seeing the tweets out from Washington Post reporter Bailey Johnson, they are not on the ice for warm-ups ahead of game 3. That's, I believe, 7 p.m. puck drop.
We very differing. We're on the opposite of the vibe spectrum, it feels like right now.
Yeah.
That's too bad. I hope
vibes could change by the time we go on a stream tonight, maybe.
You never know. That's the beauty of hockey, right? Like, I was ready to completely write off the Avalanche and send Alexander Georgiev back to Bulgaria after game 1. And then he played great in game 2 and the Avs won. So, vibes can switch. That's why it's a vibe check, not a permanent vibe location. That's your playoff roundup. Those are your 580 Sports Talk headlines. We're taking a quick break. The Royals won again. We'll talk about it next on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Again, Brendan on vacation, and he'll be back on Monday. We went over 500 subscribers without him. Direct quote from Brendan from the 580 Sports Talk exclusive text thread. It definitely hurts my feelings a little, but it's good for business, so I'll take it.
Yeah, shout out to the 504 of you now.
That's incredible. Thank you for being a part of the show today. If you subscribe to the YouTube, we invite you to check it out. Hang out and watch the show. Join in the community in the YouTube live chat. We're seeing a lot more new people of late. Join in on the live chat. We appreciate hearing from you and seeing you guys interact is really cool. And Jeffrey asked in the YouTube chat, is 580 subscribers the next milestone? I think it might be.
Yeah.
As much as I like round numbers, yeah, getting to 580 would be pretty cool for 580 Sports Talk. But that's a ways away, unless Brendan goes on another really long vacation anytime soon. 5:37 on the program. Final show of the week. Royals winners yesterday in a rain-shortened game, 2-1 over Toronto to finish off a series win over the Jays. It was an absolute farce. There was no reason to wait around 3 hours before deciding that field wasn't going to be playable.
3.5.
Yeah, it really ended up being 3.5, didn't it?
3 hours, 38 minutes.
I know, and understand this, folks, that the crew chief is in charge. Denny Matthews laid this out. I was listening before they ended up calling the game, and Denny Matthews would know better than anyone. He's been around the longest. He said he's never seen anything like what unfolded yesterday with regards to the delay. And again, he's been around for every pitch of Royals baseball, so he would know. But as soon as lineup cards are exchanged, the discretion as to whether or not to postpone or delay a game or call a game lies with the umpire. I don't know why Chris Guccione let himself get bullied into not putting the tarp out right away by the Blue Jays manager, John Schneider. But I do know and understand that it is the crew chief's hope. The idea is play as much baseball as you can. Get 9 innings played. You really want to have a full game. You don't want a suspended game. You don't want a shortened game. You want to play all 9 innings if you absolutely can. But when you have an official game, because the game was official at the point at which it was delayed, obviously, because that's when it was called, a 2-1 Royals win after 5 innings. It was an official game. It was a travel day for both teams. The Royals had a quick turnaround to play a day game the next day. I don't know. Maybe be a little quicker to bang it.
Yeah.
Just a little. I don't know who benefited from that. And certainly we took it a little more personally, you and I, Spencer, because it was a waste of our time.
So I'll tell you the truth. So you told me at like 5:32 or something, get out of here. They're going to start at 6. So I got out of there and I went on with my day, and I was, cleaning my apartment, doing some stuff. And I was like, it's like 6:45. And I was like, I'm going to take a look and see if the game's ended so I can, get my recap done for the morning sports. And I went on my phone and I went to Twitter, and good old Twitter tells me they just called the game and they didn't even resume it. I was like, why couldn't you have done that like maybe an hour and a half ago?
We would have been happy to do a show yesterday.
Yeah.
We had plenty of stuff prepared to do a radio show yesterday, but no, we just kind of chilled. We just waited in the bullpen. It lingered.
I got a lot of mock drafts done.
You did. You that's why you're the mock draft king of the 580 Sports Talk.
But none of them really worked out, I don't think. that I did yesterday.
I wouldn't tell anybody that. I just say that you batted 1,000 on your second round mock draft tomorrow. So that was yesterday. The Royals got the win. And what was nice about it, one, you didn't have to play that game out in less than ideal conditions. So it's good for the safety of your players. It's good for the health of the arms of your pitchers. Obviously, Cole Reagans was going to be done after 5 innings in a delay anyway, but you didn't have to go and try to protect the lead with your back end of the bullpen. You give those guys a day off. That was much appreciated. And you win the game. It's a winning series, 3 straight wins, winning 3 out of 4 over Toronto, and it's a winning homestand. And to come away with a winning homestand after losing 3 straight games the way that they did, that was huge. Winning homestands and 500 ball on the road is the recipe for a playoff season. That is how you go to the playoffs. You win at home and you play 500 ball on the road. Right now, the Royals are 12-5 at the K. Today in Detroit, Seth Lugo was awesome. Awesome. Matched a career high with 9 strikeouts. He threw, according to Baseball Savant, who they track the data. That's where the data comes from. Batted ball data, pitch data. That's where that's all stored. If you really want to get granular into like the data, the nerdy stuff, Baseball Savant is the website for you. We reference it all the time. According to Baseball Savant, Seth Lugo threw 8 different kinds of pitches in today's game. And he had them all working. The velocity was good. The movement was good. The command was good. He was alternately helped and not helped by home plate umpire C.B. Buckner, who was his typical inconsistent self behind the plate. And he was back to striking guys out. The big concern I'd had with Seth Lugo early, the absence of the put-away pitch, only striking out 4 guys per 9 innings coming into today's start. Well, now, after 9 Ks and 7 frames, he's up to 5.5 strikeouts per 9. That's still not great, but it's trending in the right direction. So that was really encouraging to see from Lugo, not just that he was so good, but that he was getting swings and misses, that he was getting strike 3, and not so reliant on his defense. But boy, did his defense come up big for him. Adam Frazier with maybe the best defensive player of the year to date for the Royals, robbing a home run and throwing out the base runner who had strayed too far off of first base. It was Javier Baez, the base runner. That was at the end of the 3rd inning. Super play. And Adam Frazier's not even a right fielder by trade, and he still went out and made that play. And then the Royals, who had struggled to score runs against Detroit starter Reese Olson, battered the Tiger bullpen in the 9th inning with some help from some wildness. Tyler Horton hit back-to-back left-handed batters with runners on every base. That's 2 free runs for the Royals. Those are bad matchups, left on left. Matt Quatrero was out of right-handers to pinch hit because he had pinch hit Garrett Hampson and he struck out. So you're not taking out your defensive center fielder, Kyle Isbell, in a 1-run game. You're not going to pinch hit for him. And you're out of options to pinch hit for Frazier. Those guys had to hit, and they got hit and drove in runs. So that was nice. That was appreciated. The Tiger bullpen came into today with the best relief ERA in all of baseball. And the Royals put up a 7 spot in that 8th inning. The Royals have scored 7 or more runs in an inning 4 times already this season. The other 29 teams in baseball have combined to do it 8 times so far this year. An impressive win for the Royals. They even built a lead big enough to trust to Will Smith. I have talked a lot about the distinction between competitive and contending, and the Royals keep doing things on that contending side of the line.
Yeah, I have a thought here about the runs scored in the game. So yesterday, I think, was it yesterday? Yes. I was driving around middle of the day before I came back here, and on the radio, Jake Eisenberg was talking about Eisenberg, was talking about their record comparatively to the rest of the MLB when they score less than 3 runs. They have 7. Well, I guess, it's 7 wins still because I thought it was going to be 8 today.
Mm-hmm.
Last year they had, I think, 12 or something.
I think that's right. Like wins when you don't score
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is crazy. And the rest of the league, the league is like 200, like their record is 200 something.
Winning percentage, yeah.
Yeah, the winning percentage is 260 or something. The Royals is 360 or something. Somewhere along those lines. And I was like, that's just crazy to think about.
So the Royals are winning games in a lot of different fashions. They're starting to win the close games. They've always, since the start of the year, been winning in blowout fashion. They're not getting blown out when they do lose. We haven't seen a lot of games that have been laughers for the other team. The Royals haven't taken a lot of 8-0 losses on the chin this year. I'm not yet going to fully jump on and say the Royals are good, but they're doing a lot of things that good teams do. And they've won 4 straight, and they've got a chance for a series win on the road against a divisional foe this weekend in Detroit. We're going to take another break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, some final thoughts ahead of round 2 and 3 of the NFL draft tonight here on 580 Sports Talk. Couple thoughts from the YouTube live chat as we round third and head for home on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. From our pal, the Jayhawker, CB Bucknor and Angel Hernandez need to retire. I'll tell you, CB Bucknor is glad Angel Hernandez exists.
Yes.
Because if not for Angel Hernandez, we would all associate CB Bucknor with umpiring ineptitude. He's pretty bad. He was just, his strike zone was all over the place today. It was wild. Jayhawker also adds Royals are doing a good job beating bad teams. And you've got to take care of business. You've got to beat the dregs of the league. And for a long time, that's been the Royals. But now the Royals are beating teams up.
I've got a final take on this.
Go ahead.
We said, I think collectively as a show, 17 wins was a good number for the first month.
Yeah, if they could get to 17 by the end of April, you'd feel pretty good.
They got to 17 today.
Yes, they did. Last year, it took them until Memorial Day.
So,
I actually remember their 17th win. That was the afternoon game in St. Louis where Mike Myers took a no-hitter late. Remember Mike Myers, guys? Or Mayers? Mike Mayers. Mike Myers was a left-handed reliever, pitched for Arizona, Colorado, the Yankees. Mike Mayers took I think he took a no-hitter. It might have even been a perfect game into like the 7th inning or something against the Cardinals. I remember that. I also remember that because I was buying a bathtub that day.
That's a random purchase.
Bought a bathtub. Well, we redid our bathroom last year, my wife and I. So we were shopping for bathroom fixtures. We bought a bathtub the day Mike Mayers almost threw a perfect game against the Cardinals. And the Royals won their 17th game. That was Memorial Day last year. They won their 17th game on April 26th of this year. Day 2 of the NFL draft. Make your official prediction. The Chiefs with pick number 64 do what?
They take a tackle.
Which tackle? Be bold. Put your name on it. Patrick Paul.
Yeah.
Okay. I think he's not going to be available. I think they move up. I think they trade a 5th rounder to move up a few spots in the 2nd round today. And I think they select Kingsley Suamataia. That is my prediction.
I have Kingsley Suamataia at 36.
Okay. You think
the Washington Commanders.
You think the Manders are going to take Suamataia? You like him as a prospect?
Yeah. Either that. So he could go. So the Commanders have 2 picks in the first 8 picks.
Right.
They have 36 and 40.
Uh-huh.
I think you pull this trigger if you're
take a tackle.
No. First, you take, if Kool-Aid McKinstry's there, you take him, and you hope there's a good, that Suamataia or another great tackle's there at 40.
Okay.
You need a corner, Fuller left.
Yeah.
You don't have that guy because you tried to get that guy last year. Well, didn't turn out to be a good pick.
No, it didn't. I think this is going to be a night where we see a lot of K-State guys go off the table. Dane Brugler in his round 2 and 3 mock that he put out this morning has Cooper Beebe, Ben Sinnott, Austin Booker, and Dominic Pooney all going off the board in the 3rd round tonight. And I think that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Let's put our names on it. One last prediction before we go. Which of those 4 Kansas Collegians gets taken first tonight?
Sinnott.
I'm going to say Beebe. I think it'll be a K-Stater, but we differ there. We got one more break. Final word coming up next on 580 Sports Talk. Final word for the week on this Friday. Spencer, make it quick.
Jaden Daniels, I have faith.
That is quick.
Kinsley Suamataya, please fall to the Commanders. And Capitals, please win tonight and Sunday. And I'll be a very happy man coming into the office on Monday.
Final word for me. I would not have taken Xavier Worthy over A.D. Mitchell, but I am not Brett Veach, and I understand what Brett Veach sees in Xavier Worthy, enough to make him trade up to get him, namely the speed. The deep ball is back in Kansas City, and I think that's going to have a major positive impact on what the Chiefs offense looks like next year, even if Worthy's numbers themselves aren't eye-popping. That's going to do it for this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Thanks so much for hanging out with Spencer and I today. We had a great time.
Thanks for giving us 500 followers.
Thanks for getting us to 500 plus subscribers on YouTube. Join us tonight on YouTube for our day 2 draft reaction. We will go live after the second round if the Chiefs pick in the second round. We'll go live after the third if the Chiefs end up making a third round pick. But either way, follow the YouTube and the Twitter and join us for reaction to the Chiefs action in the draft tonight. We'll talk to you Monday. For Spencer, I'm Dan. This has been 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW.